Hello, you're welcome back to my channel. You remember the Dartless Pencil Gown that we drafted on this channel? If you haven't watched that, this is what it looks like, and I'll leave the link in the description box below. So we'll be using this to make this dress. So first off, looking at that style is about 3 inches or more below the half length. So that's what I'll be marking out and I will draw out. So I decided to use 3.5 inches below the half length, and I'll just curve it to meet the side of the pattern, marking the same point on the back panel. Now remember, the back panel is always 1.5 inches or 2 inches lesser than that of the front. So that's what I'm observing here. So from the point I marked on the back panel, I'll just make it 1.5 inches lesser, and then I'll cut it through. So that's it for the back panel, and for the front panel I'm cutting this out as well, and then I'll cut it on the fabric. So I'll be using this fabric and the lining to make this style. I'll make it unfold, and I'll simply place the upper half for the back and the front panel. I'm simply adding only ½ inch, so I'll join the up part to the skirt part. All right, so apart from that, I'm cutting exactly what I have on the pattern because already I have all the same allowance I needed for this dress. So this is the back panel and I'm cutting it through. For the skirt part, I would like to reduce this a little on the length. From the length of the dress that I have here, I'll make it about 3 inches lesser than what I have on the pattern. So I'll simply mark that point and fold this in. So if I'm using this pattern for another style, I won't have to just be adding it again. So I'll simply reduce this and fold it inwards, and then I'll cut exactly what I have on the pattern on the fabric. Just that on the waistline, I'll have ½ inch for joining the upper part to the skirt part, and then I'll add 2 inches for hemming. So exactly what I do to the front pattern, I'll do the same thing to the back panel. Placing it on the fabric after I've folded it into two. Like I said, I'm adding ½ inch on the waistline and 2 inches down there for hemming, both for the front and the back panels. So when I'm done with this, now the dress is a monostrap dress. Okay, it's monostrap. So I will open up the front panel. Okay, and then you look at the picture and decide which part you have to take the slant. Now the slant goes into the arm curve. You will want to not cut out your neckline for the front panel first, so you have a good slant. And because I had already cut out mine, I had to just maneuver this. But to have a good slant, don't cut out your neckline. So I simply slant it from the shoulder line and to meet the arm curve, and I'm cutting it out. So before I cut the same slant on the back panel, I have to sew out the zipper allowance and making the wrong side of the fabric of the front panel to face the wrong side of the back panel. Now always remember that the back panel is 1 inch higher than the front panel, so you place it properly, making the arm curve to meet, and then I'll slant it exactly what I have on the front panel on the back panel. From the shoulder, I'm cutting it through to meet the arm curve like so. So when I'm done with this, the next thing I will need to observe the opening we have there on the front panel of the on the skirt part. So I'll simply notch the midpoint on the waistline and the hem, and then I'll mark out my dart allowance, my dart position. I'll notch it and do the same thing to the hem. This just so to help me have a straight line connecting that position, that dart position on the hem to the waist, and then I'll determine the length of the opening. Feel free to use whatever length if you don't want it too revealing. Okay, so I'll simply connect a straight line and I'll measure about 14 inches. That will be for my opening. And cutting that out, I will use half inch to just hem it inwards to give it a neat look. So the next thing we will look at will be the ruffle we have there on the front panel. So I'll be using a conical method to cut this. Now you're cutting it like you're cutting a 360-degree flare, just that we're not having the circumference cut out on the waistline. So instead, I'm simply notching that midpoint and opening it. I'll just cut through a radius of the circle. I'll just cut it to that midpoint that I notch, and then I'll use about half inch to do the hemming. I'll also hem the circle all round. So when you're placing it on the front panel, it will be more of a high low circle. Okay, high and low circle. One, and the underneath will have to be longer than that. So for the dress so far, I've joined the shoulder, the one shoulder we had, added zipper, and then for the front panel, I'll simply bring back the cone. Like I said, it's gonna be a high and low look. So I'll place it and make sure I ruffle it something very close to what we have in the picture. So after placing that, I will then join the skirt part to the upper part, and then take out my seam allowance. So here is what we have. That's the look. So remember, the same thing I did to the fabric is what I did to the lining. So I'll simply open the zipper part of the lining, and then I'll take it to the zipper part of the fabric. We've done this before on this channel. Now that will be my turning, and I'll turn the neck all through and stop stitch. So when I'm done with that, I'll do the hemming and then insert the sleeves. For the sleeve, I'm simply taking out my seam allowance, iron it, and insert it to the sleeve. This is what it looks like when we did add the other sleeve, and this is what it looks like with the second sleeve because the client demanded so. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like, share, and comment.